up, everybody? It's your boy Chaz Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What's up, Chris?
I'll let you know as soon as I get oxygen back in my face, man. Woo!
Darth Vader over here, man. We got a great show for you guys, talking all things LeBron and the conversation with Pat McAfee. Was it fair or foul for him to let off on strays with Windhorse and Stephen A. Smith? Did McAfee do a really good job with some of the stuff that he asked LeBron? And we'll get into a little bit of the things that LeBron said in this interview, along with all the other news around the NBA. But we got to start off first, Chris, with that LA Laker win.
Wow.
Lakers win 120-119. A LeBron tip in at the buzzer is what saves their ass. The Lakers were up by more than a dozen points in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth, I think they were up 13.
In the fourth quarter. And it was just possession after possession, 4 straight possessions to end the last 2 minutes on defense was Luka Doncic getting absolutely hunted by Nembhard, Nesmith, and specifically Tyrese Halliburton. Everybody, shit.
Yeah.
Carlisle could have came out on the court and gave Luka a bucket or two. But nonetheless, Rui Hachimura with a few clutch threes. LeBron James gets going in the fourth quarter. Austin Reeves hits some pretty big shots. Luka, for whatever reason, avoids making a layup and throws it to Dorian Finney-Smith, which wasn't his fault, but Luka gets the ball on the rim and LeBron tips it with one finger and gets the ball in after a wild game in Indiana, and the Lakers end their 3-game losing streak and get back in the winning column, 119-120. Chris, what did you make of this win? And what did you make of the last couple minutes for the Lakers for them to pull this out? Because they should have won this game running away. But for some reason, they just let an inexplicable lead just go to the wayside. What'd you make of it?
Well, first of all, shout out to Indiana. They are a tough group, especially at home. You know what's funny, Chaz? I've been watching the Lakers in Indiana for the last 20 years, going back to the NBA Finals. That is a difficult place to win. I don't care how good or how bad that team is. I never feel good when the Lakers are there because I just always feel like that crowd gets into it. They got a bunch of young guys who could play their asses off. And tonight was no different. The Lakers got off to a really good start. They set the tone early. They were up 13 at the half. And then once again, for the third straight game, we saw a just completely unraveling in the second half. Indiana puts up 37 in the third quarter. They make it a game. Now, the Lakers reestablished some control thanks to LeBron James, who had quite a day starting off the Pat McAfee show. We'll get into that in a sec. But he started to once again reestablish himself in the fourth quarter. And the Lakers look like they were in control again, that they are going to, put this one away or at least, cruise to a win, a 7, 8, 9, 10 victory, right? Did not happen. Indiana, once again, 7 players in double figures, the epitome of balance. Miles played a great game. Halliburton struggled for most of the night. Then he starts getting going. Benedict Mathurin had 23 off the bench. They had everybody starting to make plays. All of a sudden, they go on a 17-2 run. And Chaz, they turn that 13-point deficit. Hachimura starts making plays. Luka starts making plays. He starts making plays. Once again, they're up by 6. Luka gets just doused late in the game by Halliburton, by Nembhard, and this game could have easily gotten away from that, and it would have been a stunning loss, at the hands, not indifferent than what we saw against Chicago and Orlando, but right place, right time, well-executed play. They don't take a timeout. Luka got a good shot. I really thought that thing was rolling in, and then LeBron with the tip in. And at first I was like, did he get it off in time? I rewinded it on my TV 2-3 times, and I was like, I think he just got it off of
by
his
a tenth of a second,
man.
For real.
It caps off a wild game, a wild day for LeBron. And this was, we were just talking offline. They needed this game to maintain that 4-5 spot to avoid that slide further down the Western Conference standings. So, hey, You get the win, you move on. But this team really needs to figure some things out right
Yeah,
now.
it's just defense. It's just defense. This team has no problem scoring the ball. Luca is doing his damn thing. I think he had 36 points tonight. His fourth 34.
34.
Okay. His fourth straight
Yeah.
game with 30 plus points. I mean, he's absolutely balling. But what he's not doing is playing. I mean, he's playing better defense than what he was in Dallas, but he's still getting hunted on the defensive end. And he let Nimhart get straight to the basket with no contact with like 40 seconds left to even put the Lakers, in that position to where they had to play defense for two straight possessions and got lucky with the tip in. So, man, that was exhilarating. I mean, that's the reason why you watch the game. You want finishes like that, but I mean, shit. At this point for the Lakers, you really want them to blow some teams out and get some good wins under their belt going into
Well,
the playoffs. So,
Chaz, let's not forget, in less than 24 hours, they're going to be playing the team that ran them off their own court on Saturday night in the Chicago Bulls. So, you just said it. You could have used a blowout tonight. Why? Because you have to play again tomorrow, and we don't know who's going to be available for this team. So now the fact that everyone had to play extended minutes, exhausting minutes in a stretch that's already been exhausting the last 2-3 weeks, it's going to set up to be a very difficult game against a very tough Chicago team that's been playing really well. So that is the downside of tonight's win. So yeah, enjoy it. It's thrilling, and you give yourself a buffer for tomorrow. But at the same point in time, it's like, had you handled your business, maybe you get some of those guys off the floor, or at least not play those stressful minutes in the final 2-3 minutes of this game.
yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But I mean, that's just part of the game. You miss shots, you make shots, you let people go by you. It's not like you're trying to, but some people just aren't as gifted defensively and can't slide them puppies, as Perk would say, as well as others. So I think the biggest takeaway for me for this game was the fact that they went into a hostile environment and got a win from a really good team who's been playing really, really good. I mean, I think they won 11 straight games at uh, Gainfield Fieldhouse, I think it's called. Yeah. So
Something like
and
that. Yeah.
they've just been rocking. And Tyrese Halliburton getting 10 plus assists, feeding the ball. I mean, I've been winning spread after spread betting on the Indiana Pacers. I almost bet on them today, and they did cover because they only lost by one, and the spread I believe was 1.5, or maybe it closed at a half. But man, the Lakers really need it.
No one's going to want to face them
Yeah.
in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So, and by the
No.
way, this road trip, you're facing teams with everything to gain. Orlando's trying to get home court for a play-in game. Chicago trying to get home court for a play-in game. Indiana trying to get home court for a first-round series. And Memphis, oh yeah, they're right on the Lakers' heels. They're trying to jump the Lakers. So that way, if it is a 4-5 matchup between LA and Memphis, they want that series to start at FedEx Forum and not in LA. So you are playing against teams with everything to gain, and everyone's playing for something at this juncture of the season. So all of these games matter, and every win is crucial for the Lakers or anybody
Yeah,
else.
every win is crucial. That's just the part of the season that we're in. There's only not. Can you believe there's only 9 games left in the season at this point?
I think isn't there 10 for the Lakers? But yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
10,
Um,
10 for the Lakers, 9 for most other teams.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And Lakers, by the way, still have a back-to-back, and they've got 2 more sets of back-to-backs after this road trip. That is crazy to me.
yeah, I mean everybody's playing unless I didn't see anybody get injured tonight. So I think everybody's playing in Chicago.
Thank God.
Everybody's playing in Chicago. Shit, even Jokic is back on the
Well,
floor playing against
yeah.
I think the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. Giannis is out, but every
Yeah.
team needs every
And
win that they can get to stay out of the play-in, to get home court, and to feel good going into the playoffs because they're right around the corner. As soon as we crown an NCAA champion, a week later, the playoffs are pretty much right here. So, and we're coming into the Sweet 16 this Saturday, or Elite Eight this Saturday, Sweet 16 tomorrow.
Chaz, quick
Cannot wait.
question. Did McNeese State, Arkansas, or Colorado State bury your bracket?
No, nope. Well, Arkansas did. Arkansas did. I did not.
I knew it.
I did not have them winning that game though. I had. I did have them Arkansas facing St. John's, but I picked St. John's, and I'm glad I took Arkansas
Wait a
on a
minute.
live spread.
Wait a minute. You took Colorado State over Memphis, Penny Hardaway's
No, no,
Memphis
no. I
Tigers?
took Arkansas
Oh, okay.
to
Okay.
win their first
No,
round.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I was asking which of those three teams may have buried your bracket because there were two 12-5 upsets and a 10-7 upset. It was
McNeese buried
Arkansas.
my bracket.
Okay, good, good, good. So you were part of that 85%
But
that went down in day one. Okay,
I'll
good.
be honest, I haven't even checked. I haven't even checked my bracket since last Thursday because I think I got like 4 wrong. Right
Yeah,
out the gate.
yeah. That's tough. A lot of the favorites are doing well. I can't remember the last time you've got 4 1 seeds and 3 2 seeds that are going to the Sweet 16. So shout out to the tournament, but let's be honest, it's been mid. There's only been a couple of
Mid.
games that have actually been really fun to
Those
watch.
first 2 days were probably the worst first 2 days of the tournament I've watched in over 10 years. For sure.
Yeah. And the ratings were good. I read an article saying that the ratings for the tournament were great through the first weekend. So, hey,
Yeah.
people were still into it.
Can we
Anyway,
get to
uh,
these strays? Can we get to these strays that everybody
yeah.
was catching today on McAfee?
To quote Tony Soprano, the floor is yours,
All right.
Senator.
So LeBron, before he got this tip in tonight to give the Lakers a huge win, when he flew into Indiana, he went straight into the Thunderdome to talk with Pat McAfee and the rest of the toxic table. And if you watch the show, you know that they have pretty much no filter. They talk very, very loosely, like you or I would in a private setting. But they are on a public platform just talking shit. And it was facts, man. I love the fact that LeBron went on there. We have not seen him give anybody an hour-long interview. And a lot of people asking, like, oh, why wasn't it live? Because he had a game to play tonight, so he couldn't do a
Yep.
live show. So they taped it, and he had a lot to say. I'm gonna ask you the question before I go off because I'm gonna be hot like fish grease once you pass it back to me. But what did you make of the LeBron conversation with Pat McAfee? I know there's some stuff in there that was foul and some stuff that was fair, give or take. But what's your overall sentiment of that interview, being that we haven't seen LeBron talk for that long in quite some time?
On a plat Yeah, on a platform that's not his, where he's controlling it, the shop or mind of the game or any of this other stuff that we've seen him do. It's always been a Spring Hill production with Maverick, with Rich, Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, his age, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always a LeBron controlled atmosphere. So it was very refreshing. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not the world's biggest Pat McAfee fan. I think at times he could be a bit much. I mean, look, that's just me. I'm not a big fan, but he's done very well for himself. So hey, kudos. I ain't hating. I'm just saying for me, it's more of a taste thing for me. But it was refreshing to
Not your
see
cup of
LeBron
Joe.
go on not my cup of Joe, just for different reasons. But hey, I'm not for everyone either, bro. You think everyone that listening to me is a Chris Camello fan? Don't insult me over here, bro. No, but I will say this: it was refreshing to see him on there. Yeah, and I think LeBron played into it a little bit. We got some things that may have raised our eyebrows a little bit, ones that made us laugh, but it was him in a very real, raw moment. And that's what we want sometimes, because I think the thing that upsets people about LeBron, I think people question the genuinity of him and how much of this is an act. So to see him, I'm just saying, not me in particular at times, but I think some people do question the authenticity at times. So to see him in an element that he's not controlling, it now forces you to really be real because you're not controlling it, right? So I thought the stuff about Stephen A was interesting. The stuff about Wemby, wow,
All right.
that was something that we really
All
had
right.
no idea about. And the stuff about Jordan and
Let,
Kobe was
let,
very interesting as well. So I enjoyed the realness and the rawness of it, and yeah, I'm sure you're about to go off
uh,
right now. So I'll hand you the
I'm
keys
not
to
gonna go
that.
scorched earth, but I tweeted something out with my
No, no, no. I got it.
my main takeaways, and I thought there were so many gems, but um the main one that I love, the fact that he spoke about his relationship with Michael Jordan and he said that he thinks that his relationship with Michael Jordan will grow once he retires. And he brought up his relationship with Kobe, how they were just trying to compete all the time, over and
Yeah,
over when they were playing. And then once Kobe retired and LeBron became a Laker, that's when he opened up, open arms. Yeah, they played in the Olympics together, and yeah, they had a brotherhood when they played together and everything like that, and competed against each other. But once Kobe hung him up, he was all LeBron, and especially when he donned on
sure.
that purple and gold armor, he was, you know, really all LeBron, and giving him the keys to the city in terms of saying, "Hey, I'm here to help you for whatever it is you need. You're part of the family now. It's Laker family. It is what it is." I thought that point was very, very telling in him saying that his relationship with Michael Jordan, he believes will grow. But at the same time, I don't think that he's reaching out either. So he's
No, and also too, who is Jordan close to that he played with? Think about that. Or I mean, played in the same era with. Does he talk to Magic all the time? Does he
I'm,
talk to Larry all the time? Obviously, we know the situation with Isaiah. His own teammates. Scottie Pippen wants nothing to do with him. So Michael is a lone wolf. Kobe was a little bit more interactive, especially toward the latter part of his career. Kobe, the reason why that sounds real by LeBron was Kobe was cut from a very similar cloth as Jordan, as Magic, as Larry. I can't be friends with these guys and still be the killer that I
yeah,
am because I am chasing them. That's why him and Kobe were not close. LeBron is in an era that, and this is what pisses a lot of fans off, where everybody are homies, everybody are friends, everybody knows each other, and it wasn't like that in Kobe's era. Certainly wasn't like that in Michael's era, and it wasn't like that in Bird and Magic's era in the '80s either.
yeah, but they never played against each other in terms of LeBron and Michael Jordan.
Oh,
They
and
they
and
they
and, and Michael,
they never played
yeah,
against each other,
yeah, that's
so they never competed.
true. But Michael's competitive though.
Exactly, but
Yeah,
I mean, if if
yeah.
if LeBron reaches out, I think that they would have that kind of conversation. He's saying, "Hey, Lee doesn't want to hear from me until I retire." I don't think you're reaching out either, bro. But that's for another day. I think you guys will have a pretty good relationship. They met they saw each other at the 75th anniversary. I thought that was interesting. I also thought
Yeah, it was
I thought
cool.
it was interesting that he gave Rondo his flowers and saying that he was the glue for Boston's Big Three era. He says, "Hey, they talk about having a Big Three, but who was bringing up the ball and crossing half court every single time?" And that was Rondo putting those guys in the position. Um,
Oh, hey, I thought that was an interesting point. I mean, Rondo, especially maybe not in '08, but in every other year that they faced off, which I believe they faced off in 2010, 2011, and 2012, the last 2 years being in Miami. And he saw the evolution of Rondo and how once he got the keys, Rondo really made that team go, in a different direction. Even Doc Rivers, will tell you that as well. And Rondo was, of course, the glue, as you know, Chaz, of that 2020 team. Playoff dough was a thing,
yeah,
man. I mean, we saw it in the bubble, and he carved up the Houston Rockets. That's really the series where he started to make the difference to the Denver Nuggets and, of course, to the Miami Heat. So that's why LeBron wanted him on that team, because he knew I've had enough of playing against this guy, but I know what he can do for those teams, and hopefully he could do it here. And that's exactly what Rondo ended up doing. So LeBron thought right on
yeah.
that.
So
But yeah, I thought that was very accurate. You
right.
know.
So I just think that ultimately it really just comes down to the fact that LeBron touched on an array of topics that I think was just very positive. Now, some things some people are going to view as negative. I didn't particularly like the fact that he called out Brian Windhorst, saying that, "Hey, there's guys in the media that think that they're my best friend," and because I don't think Windhorst ever said that. Now, it is implied that Windhorst has said that he's covered LeBron since junior high school, and LeBron has said himself that he has been covered by Brian Windhorst, and there's nobody in the media that would know LeBron better than Brian Windhorst. So I just didn't like that jab. I do think that Windhorst caught a stray when LeBron is giving a blanket message to pretty much the media in general. I don't think he respects certain players either that have these podcasts that talk, like we do, but that were former players in the NBA, because he painted them with the broad stroke of a brush as well, saying that a lot of those guys were just bigger, stronger, faster. They didn't think the game, which is why they're on podcasts talking about the game, and nobody really respects them the way that they should in his eyes. So I thought that was interesting as well. Also, the fact that he has never left Akron until he was 25 years old. You think about it, he even joked that he thought that the NBA lottery was partially rigged, which I don't think he actually believes. But the fact that he was in Akron until 18 and the first 7 years in Cleveland, he said he was driving from Akron up down to Cleveland and back with his family, and he was comfortable. So speaking on the Luca trade and saying that, hey, I've never been traded, but I lived in the same place for 25 years and then I up and go somewhere else, it's a shock to me. So I just thought that there were so many different points. But the last point that I think was the most telling and the most important was him discussing retirement. And in that, he said that he will retire when he doesn't feel like playing the game anymore in terms of preparation, scouting, studying the scout sheet before games, or showing up 5 hours early before tip, probably like he did tonight, in order to get that tip on the winning buzzer, on the buzzer beater. So I don't think he's going to retire anytime soon. I think he still has more time than we think. Um, I just love that how he was just open in the interview and really, really telling. But I just don't like how things have gotten so personal, Chris, with LeBron and Stephen A. Because we saw what Stephen A. said, leading up to their confrontation and everything like that. But I just think that it's really personal at this point because Stephen A. said some things in terms of, hey, as a father, please stop this. Like, bro, don't tell me how to parent my kid or do whatever it is I want to do in relation to my kid or anybody living in my household. Like, that's when you take it too far. So I've always
Yeah,
been on LeBron's side with that. Did I agree with the way that he approached Stephen A? Not really, but the way that he did it was very calculated because he didn't want Stephen A to respond. This is about me. I'm gonna tell you what I feel. I'm gonna get my shit off. You're gonna feel it, and that's gonna be that. You're gonna get it in
let
front of
me
17,000 people, in front of all these people in the middle of the third quarter. Then I'm gonna go back on the court, drop buckets, get a win, and then tell you about yourself again. So I'm good with that. Like,
Yeah, no, I okay. Let me tell you on that. I understood. We talked about this with Scoop B a couple weeks ago. I understand the aspect of protecting your son. I get it. I'm not a dad, but I understand that. I agree with you on the sense of there's a time and place to handle things, right? LeBron wanted to publicly embarrass Stephen A in that moment, knowing that the moment was going to go viral and it's going to force Stephen A to basically play defense and respond to it to avoid Stephen A looking like a bitch, basically. Now, I also believe when your son is now in a public space, he is now open to criticism. And
but
the criticism,
but
I believe
Chris,
Stephen A in this. Hold on, though. Let me just finish this point. And I believe the criticism um, was not necessarily about Bronny himself. And even if it was sort of validated. The kid was not playing well. However, I get where LeBron is coming from. I see both sides of
bruh,
it. I see both sides of it.
bruh.
But to go about it in that way, and then here was the part that I didn't really like that he said, but that's also a teammate, and it's my job to protect teammates. Who did you ever
He said
protect?
other.
People were bashing on
He
Kevin
said other
Love.
players.
People were bashing on J.R. Smith, Chris Bosh. I could name Norris
He
Cole, Mario Chalmers. You'd have
He
not
said
always
other
backed those
players. He
guys,
said other
bro.
players, not teammates. He said other players, meaning other players in the league, meaning you can't just talk shit about other players personally, which is why he brought up what the guy said about Embiid's brother, which is why he got pushed in a locker room and got Embiid suspended, right? Like when these guys start
I remember
when
that.
these guys start talking
And
shit and
here's the
start
difference,
bringing
though.
family into it, that's when you cross the
I
line. Now here's the deal. Now look, hold on, let me get this point off
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
Bronny is in the NBA doesn't mean that you're not just critiquing his game. You're not saying that he shouldn't be there, or he's not playing well enough, or he needs to get more rebounds, or he doesn't look like he's in shape, or he doesn't get enough minutes, or he needs to be in the G League. You're not saying all that. What triggered him was him saying, as a father, please stop this. Bro, don't tell me how to be a father. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
that's where
Maybe that was
you
done in poor
no,
taste.
I'm telling you, as a father, if somebody told me Hey, as a father, I wouldn't do that. Fuck you, shut up. I'm gonna do what I want to do because guess what? This is my kid, not yours. And guess what? My kid is good enough to be in the NBA, and I'm just so happen to be the greatest player of all time that's playing the game right now. So I'm gonna help him out and get him an opportunity, and he's gonna take it from there. Which now he's done.
He's starting to look. Yeah,
Exactly. A lot of people starting to
he's
eat a lot of crow. So look, I understood it from the perspective. Don't talk to me as a father. I'm not telling you about yours. Don't talk to me about mine. And that's when LeBron said, "Hey, he missed the whole point. He missed the whole point." You talking about? Oh, and I said this about Bronny. I said like, he's open to criticism, but you're not talking about his game. You saying that he shouldn't be on this platform because I helped him and I told him or I told others, or I said jokingly or tongue in cheek that I want to play with my son, or wherever you want to, I'll play for free if I have to. Whatever. Like he said all that to have leverage with the Lakers. You think he wanted to go to Detroit or go to Golden State or go to
well,
Brooklyn
Golden
or
State
go to?
maybe,
I mean,
but
I'm just saying, like, do you really think he
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to go to
no,
all these other different places? He was saying that for leverage because he
no,
wanted his son on the team.
I agree with that. And by the way, the Lakers have been open about that when Rob Pelinka has said we have a partnership with LeBron James and at the time Anthony Davis. When you start using the term partnerships, then it's not an employee-employer relationship. Now you are invested in the LeBron James business, and that comes with stuff. I said that absolutely. If it were up to me, if people were asking Chris Camello, hey, where should Bronny play next year? I said it. Go transfer to Oregon, play under Dan Altman, go play for Cal in Arkansas. You know what I mean? I thought he needed to show that he has put the heart issues well behind him by playing a full college season. That's what I thought he should have done. But you know what? They saw an opportunity. It was a weak draft. You got him at 55. So there's a low end, potential high value pick. But it was obvious to me he's going to need some seasoning. I would like to see him, if nothing else, spend the majority of the season in the G League. And they finally got that right, by the way. When they were saying
He
that he's
is
only going to
playing.
play G
Okay,
League
go
home
ahead.
games, I'm like, no,
He
but I'm
is
saying when he was only at the time, Chaz, they said he was only
at
going
the
to play
time. I got
G
you.
League home games. I did not agree with that. I said, this kid needs as many reps as he can, just like with a minor league baseball player. You don't call up a guy like Andy Pages to the Dodgers to only have him back up Chris Taylor in left field, right? You
Right,
don't do
but
that. If that's the case, send him back down to the minors. In
exactly. But
Bronny's case, it's the same thing. Where it gets dicey now because it's a son, and LeBron has mentioned this, it's about, well, I also have the opportunity to play with my son and see him every day. Yes, but what good is that if he's not developing as a player and getting the proper reps? That was my pushback on some of this stuff.
I'll be honest with you, Chris. It really doesn't matter because
Okay. I'm telling you my
everybody,
perspective of it. That's all.
I get it. Everybody that had that perspective is wrong because guess what? He's playing. He's playing well, and the Lakers are about to make the playoffs,
And I'm
and
glad he's playing well. I'm glad
and
he's
he's
playing
playing
well.
exactly. But let's just. I guess my thing is this: there's more than one way to skin a cat, and
Sure. I'm talking about my reaction 4 or 5 months ago, by the way. My
right,
reaction
exactly.
4 or 5 months ago. They have mixed some things up now. He's playing more consistently in the G League. And by the way, you're seeing the fruits of that labor. You're seeing the progress. You're seeing the improvements. You saw it last week against Milwaukee, 17 points, even though they got blown out in that game. He played well in it. And you've
What up,
seen
Thrush?
his last like 10 game or last, maybe not 10, but the last 6-7 games he's played in the G League, they've all been great games, including the other night. So he is showing what he can do. And I was even telling a friend of mine, if he could become what like Davion Mitchell is now with the Miami Heat, he got traded this year, or even like what Scottie Pippen Jr. has done with the Memphis Grizzlies, former Laker, by the way, starting off in the G League, that would be great. I mean, those guys are going to
Like,
be
bro,
backup guards in the league for a long time. Let me just say this one last point, a little off topic, but also relatable. The G League is starting to really show itself as a true developmental league, really cutting a page out of what minor league baseball has meant to the MLB. I just want to point that out as well. So shout out to the G League. They're doing a great job down there, developing
sh-
NBA ready talent.
Shout
Go
out
ahead.
to the G League. With LeBron, at the end of the day, I don't like it for it to be personal between LeBron and Stephen A. But it's very personal.
I agree with
I
you.
think
I don't like it either.
I think what Stephen A. said on his podcast about LeBron using this as an excuse, this conversation with Bronny as an excuse to confront Stephen A. amid other things that LeBron doesn't like him for. Like they clearly don't like each other and haven't liked each other for a long period of time. It's news to me that LeBron has done some things behind closed doors that Stephen A knows about that Stephen A won't speak about, but will say that that's the reason why he doesn't like him personally. So like the fact that they're trading jabs personally, and I'm just gonna say this as a black man, as two black men, prominent black men, like the number ones in each of their respective fields,
Yeah.
as black men going at each other, I personally don't like it. But man to man, I understand where LeBron was coming from. Don't talk to me about how to parent my son, bro. So, and that's
I
just that. That's
not
just that.
not I am not disagreeing about that. And by the way, some of these other examples you brought up, I agree. Families are always off limits. Never make it personal. Never talk about someone's girl or wife or kids or any other family members. However, where this gets dicey, remember Scoop said this is unprecedented, is because Bronny is also a Laker. Doesn't work for the Lakers. He plays for the Lakers. So he is now in that public sphere. And because we haven't seen anything like this, except for maybe the Griffies in a time that was not, with social media or 24-hour news talk or debate shows, they did not have to go through any of this. Not to mention,
That's
though, I'm just saying, everyone's going to get this wrong at some point because you still don't know the lines to cross. And even LeBron, his reaction now may not be the same as it is a year or two from now. Maybe that's speculation. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm just saying that time tends to kind of reveal that maybe I shouldn't have reacted this way, or, hey, you know what? I'll never take that back. And I would understand both. Just saying.
Do you agree or disagree with the statement that LeBron said about Giannis having 250 points in a 70s game?
Oh, come on. Don't be disrespectful, man. No,
I
I
think he
don't
was
agree
okay.
with that at all,
So
but
what he said right before that is that he doesn't want to compare eras, which I understand
yeah,
and I
of
get and I
course.
agree with.
I've
But
been saying that for a long time. Yeah. Go ahead.
right after that, he made a joke tongue in cheek saying that we can't play in that era,
True.
which is why he said they said, "Hey, I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough." They said Charles Oakley would just run right through me, and bro, LeBron would put Charles Oakley and
Easy.
and all the rest of those Knicks. Like you thought that Michael Jordan was physically imposing when he dunked on Patrick Ewing and Oakley and all the rest of those guys. That they're Anthony Mason. Like LeBron is 3 inches taller and 40 to 50 pounds heavier. You don't think he would have went those crazy thoughts that say that him and Giannis and other guys wouldn't. Let me just say this blanket statement. If you are a top 25 player all time, you would play in any era.
Agreed.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, today, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, a great player is going to be a great player.
I agree with
Now,
that.
in my opinion, there are certain players, like I don't know, DeMar DeRozan or Al Cowlings, Michael Cooper.
Wait,
Like there's,
who's Al Cowlings?
I'm sorry, Connie
That
Hawkins.
okay. I was gonna say Al Cowlings was the driver of the Bronco for
I know. I know. I was watching.
and a football player. And a football player. You see what? Come on.
You weren't supposed to.
By the way, the people versus OJ. Al Cowlings played brilliantly by the great Malcolm Jamal Warner. Theo Huxtable.
Bro,
Oh,
Squirt's not supposed to call me out for that. I realized it as soon as I said it. I said, "Ow, Cowlings, Connie Hawkins." I don't know why I said that, but anyways,
yeah.
a great player is going to be a great player,
Sure. I know.
and
I got you. Yeah.
I don't like comparing errors, but I don't like how the one clip on McAfee is just getting these rounds, and LeBron is just acting as if, it's coming off as if LeBron is being disrespectful, and he's not. If you listen to the whole context of what he was saying prior
Yeah.
to saying
I
that,
got to go back and do that too, by the way. Yeah. Go back and watch
just
the context. Yeah.
just like the clip on Stephen A. show saying that, hey, I would have swung on LeBron like that. But what he said prior to that and after that was, if LeBron hit me, I would have swung on him. And even if I did swing him, I would have got my ass beat. Like, he did say that. So there are
Sure.
things making rounds, and we can clip and slice everything, and
But
it
you know,
doesn't
but
come
this
out
is
the way that it
this
should.
is the era that we're living in, man. With social media, with quick hits and everything. Shit, I can't even go on Twitter or Instagram without seeing a clip of, whether it be sports or politics or whatever the case is. You're
Al
still laughing about
Cowlings.
Al Cowlings. I was like, who the hell is this dude talking
that
about over here?
That's a
Yeah,
top. If you're that is a top five moment on this show. Like,
yeah.
and we've been doing this show for
Yeah,
quite
Chaz's
some time.
brain.
He
Sorry,
said Al
Chaz's
Cow.
brain. Al Cowlings. Chaz's brain for that brief moment became a Shaq would call barbecue chicken.
No. So I was thinking Al Addles for the Warriors,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and then Connie Hawkins, and it just all came together.
Yeah, no take backsies, Chaz. It's
And
too
you
late.
got
You already said Al Cowlings. I'm already thinking of the Bronco right now on the freeway. By the way, Chaz, I know you're going to the airport right now. Be on the lookout for any white Broncos.
It was fucking funny.
Oh
Oh
man.
man,
Anyway,
I
no. Can I just let me
I know we
just
got a couple minutes
say,
before we got to get out of here,
yeah,
but go ahead.
yeah. No. Let me just say this. I appreciated the conversation, and you and I, we don't see eye to eye completely on that and whatnot. I mean, I understand though where both guys were sort of coming from, and I think the execution from both, whether it be what Stephen A. said or how LeBron did it to him during the Knicks game, I think they could both be right and they could both be wrong at the same time. I know that's difficult. I know we don't like giving context like that or giving that kind of grace. That's what it is. And by the way, you could say the same thing about the eras. You could like the 70s era and you could like this one too. They're different. All I'll say is the game was more physical back then. But to say that Giannis would score 250, I mean, come on. I mean, we know that wouldn't happen.
Bro,
But I understood the tongue in cheek. That was sort of a diss to the old heads, basically saying that our eras are the best. But Chaz, that's how it is, though. I mean, shoot, you got parents, you got grandparents, and all of that. Your generation is lazy and everything like that. Me and my girl, we're saying how the generation behind us in the 20s now, how lazy some of these kids are,
bro.
and we're in our you and I too. We're in our early to mid 30s. We're saying that. Shit. So everybody does that. What I'm saying is just don't be disrespectful. I'm not saying LeBron was. I think you have to be careful because of what Anthony Edwards said. And I know Magic pointed this out recently on the Byron Scott show. Don't diss people in those respective eras, considering what a guy like Magic meant to the NBA and what he had to go through to get those 5 championships as well. That's all I will say on that.
But is it not disrespectful when one of these old heads say that some guy today can't play in their era just because you could hand check and you could foul?
Yeah, I don't
Isn't it not disrespectful both ways?
It is. All of it's wrong. I'm not saying that. However, the young guys talking, not necessarily LeBron, but a guy like Anthony Edwards, when he's talking, it comes off as disrespectful. Why? Because Anthony Edwards hasn't accomplished shit yet in this league. And I love the Ant-Man. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a special player in this league for a long time. And I hope he ends up winning a championship and an MVP. But when you are calling out certain eras and say, yeah, like Kobe was talented and like Jordan and like that was it. Like, bro, you got to do your research a little bit. Okay. Don't disrespect what guys like Scottie Pippen meant, what Larry Bird meant, what Dr. J meant, what, all these other players, Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon. I could go on and on. Don't disrespect these guys because you are standing on their shoulders financially and with prestige because of the groundwork that they laid. And by the way, the generation that comes up behind, they're going to be standing on your shoulders. That's how this goes. So right. I just think this whole thing becomes a massive ego fest, and I hate it all the way around. Like Charles Barkley said, man, you could love LeBron and you could love Michael. We shouldn't be hating on both, even though he's one of the instigators in this whole thing. So,
right. He's the main instigator in this show.
Yeah, of course. So man, Shaq. Yeah.
we're gonna table load management for next week. I was gonna get into load management, but we'll be on here for the next 20 minutes if I bring that up. So we'll go ahead and end it there. A great buzzer beater by LeBron, a great conversation by LeBron, a multitude of different topics that obviously get us fired up. I can't wait until you have a kid, Chris, because the moment the first person questions your parenting or suggests that you do anything different as a parent, it is going to trigger you. And I cannot wait until that moment because I'm going to ask you, how does it feel? And you will completely understand what I just articulated on this podcast because I'll be damned if
Okay,
somebody
so
tells me about my kid who has the talent to be in the NBA. No, you shouldn't do that as a father. I beg of you, bro. If
I
you don't,
said Stephen A. got that part wrong. I agreed with you on that. So why are you giving me stuff on that, bro?
I'm not.
I
I'm not. I'm just.
I I, I
I'm just
agreed.
re-articulating before we close.
I
I'm not.
agreed with
I'm
you
just
on that
re-articulating.
moment. I agreed with you on that moment. I'm just saying where it gets dicey. That's
You.
all I was saying.
Last question. Do you think LeBron was wrong for doing it the way that he did, or should he have waited for Stephen A. in the hallway to then have a conversation?
Hallway is the way I would have done it,
Fuck
but
that. You on a public forum talking about me and my family. I'm coming out to address you like a numbers on a house in front of 17,995.
wait a minute. Hold on. You said hallway too earlier in the show, and you said it when we had Scoop B on and we talked about this. You said you
I,
didn't
I
necessarily like.
changed my mind. I'm okay with it because guess what? Because it made perfect sense.
Okay.
He's been
Okay.
waiting to get it. He's been waiting to get at him for a multitude of things, and the
All right.
Bronny thing was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and that's what he decided to put everything else on. But he doesn't like the fact that he's done they don't like each other
I'm just
for
trying to keep up with you right
whatever
now, partner,
reasons.
because you're kind of going up.
I'm not. I,
You're jacked.
look,
You're jacked right
never.
now.
I was never against him doing it the way that he did it. It was actually very impressive because the third quarter, the Lakers were down, making a comeback to get back in the Knicks game that they ultimately won. So the fact that he had the wherewithal to undress Stephen A, go out there, hit threes, win a game, and then and then go back and travel that was actually very impressive to me personally. So that's the
Hey,
reason why I say that.
it was a good podcast, and you know what? If nothing else, it gives guys like us stuff to talk about. I know there's a lot to talk about right now, but it's refreshing. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, it's gonna move the needle. And people are gonna be talking about this for the next 2-3 days, including Stephen A on First Take. So to me, that's a win. And we could agree to disagree. Chaz, we don't always see eye to eye on things. We've talked very passionately about things going back to 2020 when you and I first started doing shows together, to a couple of years ago with Kyrie. You probably want to rip my head off sometimes. That's fine. And
No,
if you do,
we
the
went at
feeling
it.
is
We went at
mutual.
it about Kyrie.
Yeah, the Brooklyn thing. When he posted about that book. Remember?
What were we? What were we at odds about on that?
Well, okay, we don't have time, but
Just real quick, guys. Just real quick. What were we at odds about on that?
no, we were talking about was the punishment from the Nets owner, was it too much? Was it not enough? And everything like
Oh
that.
yeah, that plantation mentality type shit. Like, oh, you got to do all this shit
Yeah,
and
yeah.
prove to me that you're not an
Yeah.
anti-Semitic. Like, bro, I ain't got
It
to prove to you
it
shit. Like,
Yeah, no, we were back and forth. We agreed about like there should be consequences for it, but I think how to kind of go about it. So I mean, hey,
let me out of jail, please, master. I'm not an anti-Semitic. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what we're on the other side about. So, oh man, I'm fired up. All
yeah,
right,
I
well,
know
I'll
you're
try
you're
and
you're jacked right now, bro. I think it's that Al Cowling's comment.
bro,
All right,
that might be a top three moment on this show,
yeah.
and we've been doing shows together
But let
for
me say
5 years
this:
now.
I always appreciate the conversation, whether we agree, whether we disagree, whether we see things differently, and everything like that. If we can get ourselves to think, but our audience to think, it's a win. It's a
No
win. That's,
doubt.
that's all. That's all we're trying to do.
Well,
Thank you for joining us tonight, guys.
another great show. Thank you guys for tapping in. You guys know where to follow us at Chaz Pearson on Instagram and Twitter. Chris, where can I follow you, my man?
You can always follow me on Twitter at Chris_Camelo, CCamelo1 on Instagram, and follow us on the Outlet Forum on YouTube, X, and Instagram, as you guys know. Thank you, everybody. Be back at it
You
next
guys
week.
know what it is.
And shout out to the great George Foreman. I know we were supposed to do a shout out to
I
him.
was
Go ahead.
I was just about to say that. Shout out to George Foreman. I cannot believe the holy trinity of the heavyweight division in the 70s is now gone in George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, and Joe Frazier. Um, it's just, it means a lot. So for George, and if you don't know much about George Foreman, go watch the movie George that came out about him, because that was actually a very accurate depiction.
We're gonna see that.
And the fact that he named all of his kids George and Georgina and everything like that. Just shout out to the family and shout out to a legend. And we thank you guys for tapping in with us. And we will talk about a multitude of things, including load management and the NBA next week. But we appreciate you guys listening, tapping in, and the support that you guys give. We'll see you guys next week. And thanks.